As forewarned, I mean, we have a situation in which American cities are at the center of this ICE crackdown, and there's indiscriminate use of force against Americans, non-Americans, people here legally, people here illegally. And on the right, nobody seems to care. In fact, they love it.
I saw a video from a local station in Chicago, and residents of a community there were describing an ICE raid and like what they saw. Two things struck me. One, they were talking about things that happened to them. They were talking about how they were treated in this ICE raid. These are the people that, I guess by virtue of being born here in America, are entitled to being treated like human beings. The second thing is that they were all black. And I'm gonna say something, we saw this coming. We knew the neighborhoods where these ICE raids would take place. We knew that a lot of these things wouldn't happen in Beverly Hills or in Coconut Grove or any of those places like that. We knew that there would be collateral damage, that there would be trauma that would be inflicted on our communities. We knew that people would be detained, scared. We knew that children would have to see things that they shouldn't have to see. And all of this for political theater so that we look tough on immigration for everyone. It's a horror show. And I do think if it hasn't already happened, that it'll be something that even the most conservative of Americans will get tired of seeing human beings treated this way. At least that's my hope.
The one neighbor said,
Let me get this straight. We're supposed to feel bad, not because violent, illegal criminals were removed from a community, but because people were inconvenienced during the raid. We're shedding tears over zip ties while ignoring the fact that the entire neighborhoods are being held hostage by actual criminals. I'm not going to play that game. We're not playing that game, family. This whole ICE situation in Chicago has become another classic case of manufactured outrage from people who care more about optics than outcome. And I'm here to say what most folks are too scared to admit out loud. ICE did their job. I'm going to say it again. ICE did their job. They showed up, they cleaned house, they removed the violent transnational gang from a black neighborhood in Chicago, and the people who actually live there and the folks dealing with the crime, the drugs, the chaos, were grateful. But instead of celebrating that, we got these folks on TV crying about how it looked. So let me break it down, because this is what it seems when people start letting feelings outweigh facts. You got politicians and media hacks out here spinning this like it's some war zone, right? Some dystopian war zone, like the federal government just rolled up into a random building to terrorize innocent people. But here's the truth. They conveniently leave out. The raid was targeting Trenderaga, a violent gang that traffics drugs, humans in misery across borders, and you don't just walk up and knock on the door. And when you're dealing with people like that, you go in strong, you go in ready, because these ain't you're just here for a little better life migrants. These are criminals straight up. But here's where it gets really twisted. The people crying the loudest about how the raid went down aren't the people who live in the neighborhood. I'm pretty sure this man doesn't live in the neighborhood. Now, the guy with the black t-shirt in this video, I don't know his name. I don't know him from a can of paint. But the actual residents, the black folks who had their apartment complex turned into a gang safe house, they were relieved. They were thankful, but they can't even fully say that out loud without getting attacked by the same left-wing machine that helped put them in that situation in the first place.
the kids were crying. They looked very distraught. I was out there crying when I seen the little girl come around the corner because they were bringing kids down too, had them zip tied to each other, saying that there were trucks, military-style vans used to separate adults from kids. What's going on?
I haven't seen any of this, so I certainly am not aware of particular neighborhoods that are targeted. Obviously, I support them finding and arresting people who are here illegally. And in the community they're in, again, I can't justify, I haven't seen which communities that they're targeting.
Well, one detail that's been left out is that they were targeting Tren de Aragua. And so Tren de Aragua is a violent transnational gang. They send illegal immigrants here to the United States. They traffic drugs, they traffic people, they commit violence. They inflict misery everywhere they go. And 37 people were arrested. That was the purpose of the raid, the targeting of Tren de Aragua, some of the most violent people in our hemisphere. And when they come here,
Why he looks so disappointed with the black hat? Because he's saying that ICE is getting gang members off the street for the safety of American citizens and people in the community. What is disappointing about that? That's
nothing
telling.
good happens. That was the
Okay,
point.
so if it was targeting, I don't think anybody has a problem with targeting. When you clear out an apartment
Are the
building
children in
and you
Trinidad
zip
Aragua?
tie children and you arrest and detain everyone,
Are the-
Scott,
are the
Scott, hold
kids-
on,
no,
hold
no,
on, Scott. You and me, we're talking here, okay? If they arrest children, they arrest everyone, citizens and non-citizens, for hours, detain them, deprive them of their liberty, for no matter how long. You are fine with that.
See, if they arrest everyone, citizens or non-citizens, why would they arrest citizens that are legal? See, this is what I mean. Why so the residents that are thankful and they're relieved because the gangs got out the neighborhood, but they can't fully say it out loud without getting attacked because the left wing machine. This is what I mean by the left wing machine that helped them put them in the situation in the first place. Because she's over here saying they're arresting citizens and non-citizens. That's misinformation. And this, my friend, is what we call the Democratic plantation, where your pain is only valid if it fits the narrative. Let's talk about the narrative for a second, because you got people crying about kids being zip tied during a raid. And let me be clear, I don't want any child to be traumatized. But where was all this righteous outrage when the gangs moved into these apartment complexes and took over the Chicagoan residents' place to live? When the drugs start flowing, when kids were literally living next to cartel violence, when bullets were flying outside on the playground, you think zip ties traumatized them? Like, try watching your neighborhood get gunned down at 10 years old. Like, see, these talking heads don't care about the community. They care about control. And every time the government does something right, like removing criminals, they jump into paint it as oppression. Oh, this is oppression. This is not right. This is tyranny. Why? Because if the community wakes up and realize who's actually failing them, they might start voting differently. You can't have that, right? Now, let me make this crystal clear, because this ain't about immigration. This is about accountability. It's about truth. And if the truth makes people uncomfortable, maybe they need to sit with that. You cannot, and I mean cannot, let criminals hide behind children and then cry foul when law enforcement shows up. You can't say protect the kids out one side of your mouth while ignoring the predators and gangbangers living two doors down. Like, you got to pick a side, because the fence, that thing is broken.
They didn't arrest children, but
I didn't say they arrested them. They put them in zip ties. But if that makes a difference to you, go ahead.
here's what makes a difference to me. If the federal government knows that there is a nest of Tren de Aragua in a city like Chicago, they have a responsibility. They have an obligation to go get them. It is unfortunate, to answer your question,
Exactly.
that there are children put in harm's way by these violent gangs. But that is going to be the reality.
Or is it
Wait,
unfortunate,
no,
or
okay,
is it a
Tamina, hold
violation
on.
of their rights? Is the question. Because I mean, in this country, we have rights against searches and
you're
illegal
suggesting
searches
these
and
children
seizure.
should be effectively
We have
human shields for Tren de Aragua, and I don't agree with
What
that.
I'm asking, hold on, I want to make it clear. I don't like. I know that Tren de Aragua and gangs and whatever, it's a catch-all to treat people however you want, to go in there and shred the Constitution or whatever else it is that you want to do. What I'm asking you is this: do you think that children should have been zip-tied and pulled out of an apartment complex and traumatized like that? Yes or no?
I don't think children should be put in harm's way by transnational gangs.
Just answer the question. Yes or no? Do you think that children?
I don't accept the premise.
I'm gonna leave it there. Now, I wanted y'all to pay attention. This is why I stopped to hear to this little slate of hand happening in media. This is CNN. They keep focusing on how ICE went in, the zip ties, the vans, the military gear. But what they won't tell you is that 37 dangerous individuals were apprehended. 37. And guess what? After sorting through it, the people who didn't belong in jail were released. Let that sink in. It wasn't a mass kidnapping. It was a raid to find out who was who. And the only ones who stayed locked up were the ones who needed to stay locked up. That's law and order. But no, according to these moral gymnastics specialists on CNN, ICE is out here violating civil rights. Newsflash. If your neighborhood is full of known criminals tied to a violent cartel, the Constitution doesn't stop law enforcement from doing their job. What they want is law enforcement to do nothing until it's their family affected. That's what it sounds like to me. Then suddenly it's why didn't the government do more, right? You can't have it both ways. And let's be real here. You don't see these migrants getting placed in Beverly Hills or in the Hamptons or in Martha's Vineyard. We know for a fact because the minute someone flew migrants there, they have shipped them out faster than COVID tests at Fauci press conference. But then they'll send them straight back to black neighborhoods, right? Right into the apartments where hardworking people live, and they'll pat themselves on the back for being compassionate while doing it. That's not compassion. That's exploitation. That's cowardice. And yet the left keeps asking us to feel bad for the optics of how the raid looked instead of being angry about why the raid was necessary in the first place. Let's stop pretending this is about race or kids or feelings. This is about chaos versus order, about right versus wrong. If the only time you get outraged is when a criminal gets apprehended, then you got your moral compass pointed straight into the ground. Because let me say this loud and clear. The real injustice isn't ICE rolling in and detaining people to sort them out. It's the fact that those people were ever allowed in the country to begin with, let alone community. It's the fact that leadership knew what was happening and did nothing. It's the fact that the entire neighborhoods are treated like dumping grounds for failed policies that rich progressives never have to live next to. That's the part no one want to talk about. You want to cry about due process after the fact? Where was the due process when your mayor flooded your neighborhood with undocumented migrants tied to gangs? Where was the Constitution then? See, they only believe in rights when it protects criminals, because that's what it's looking like, in my opinion. Let me know if I'm wrong. I'm always open to the possibility of being wrong, family. We just having a conversation. They never talk about your right to live in peace, your right to send your kid outside without dodging bullets, where they're able to walk to school, your right to not have a drug operation running next to your kitchen. Let me tell you something, because this is where it gets real. We're in spiritual war right now between truth and deception, order and chaos, morality and madness. And the only reason ICE even had to go in there like that is because local leadership sold y'all out a long time ago. They abandoned the community, they let criminals roam free, and they cry wolf when the feds stepping in to clean it up. And individuals still voted for them. Still giving these cowards your support, still swallowing the lie that the real enemy is the people enforcing the law. I'm not with that. And what wild is how many folks are waking up. You go online, you see the videos, and even the residents, especially black folks, since they're talking about black folks, are like, man, it's about time. But they're scared to say it out loud because if you speak the truth these days, you get labeled a sellout or a conservative or some other nonsense. Meanwhile, the community is bleeding. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. I love you guys, family. Peace.